Have you ever worked incredibly hard and still felt like progress was slow? It's not because you lacked effort, not because you lacked desire, but because something just wasn't working. You pushed harder, you stayed longer, you put in more effort, and exhaustion increased faster than the results. Now, most people respond to difficulty by working harder. That's pretty common. Solomon offers a better solution. Welcome to Chasing the Wind. I'm Dan Holland, and we're walking through 10 rules from Solomon for catching what lasts. This is rule number 9. Solomon captures it in one unforgettable Proverbs, Ecclesiastes 10:10. If the axe is dull and its edge unsharped, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. That's simple and profound. A dull axe doesn't mean the worker is lazy. It means the worker is unprepared, or at least not as prepared as he or she could be. Effort, you see, without improvement leads to frustration. Wisdom says, stop swinging long enough to sharpen the blade. Rule number 9 is sharpen your skills. You've heard work smarter, not harder, which some translate to mean work smarter, work less. But Solomon is confronting one of the great misunderstandings of life. Hard work alone, it isn't enough. You can expend enormous energy doing the wrong thing or doing the right thing inefficiently. And eventually, fatigue replaces effectiveness. Wisdom teaches leverage. Growth requires intentional development. When I was 20 years old, I picked up the chancellor of Pepperdine University at the airport in Lincoln, Nebraska. I was driving him to York, Nebraska, where he was to speak. And during the drive, I asked whether I should continue my education after finishing at York University. Should I step into ministry or pursue further schooling was my question. And he suggested I should sharpen my axe before getting to work. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but it was a reference to what Solomon was teaching here. I've seen this repeatedly in leadership and business. Two people can work equally hard, yet one multiplies impact while the other, they burn out. The difference usually isn't passion, it's preparation. One keeps learning, keeps adjusting, keeps sharpening. The other relies on yesterday's ability, yesterday's knowledge to solve today's challenges. And over time, the gap widens. That's why Solomon wrote in Proverbs 22, verse 29, "Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings. They will not serve before obscure men." See, skill creates opportunity. Excellence opens doors that character alone can't unlock. That's a key point. Of course, God honors diligence, no doubt about that, but he also honors development. Paul tells the believers in Colossians, listen, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as though you're working for the Lord and not for human masters. Working for the Lord means pursuing excellence, not for applause, but out of stewardship. See, your work literally becomes worship when you offer it to God, doing your best, not just your best effort. And Paul told Timothy in 2 Timothy 2:15, do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, one who correctly handles the word of truth. Notice the language. Do your best. Prepare, study, improve. Spiritual maturity includes skill development. Here's something Solomon understood. Life doesn't stay neutral. You are either sharpening or slowly dulling. Neglect compounds. If you stop sharpening relational skills, relationships get dull. If you stop sharpening leadership, influence declines. If you stop sharpening spiritual disciplines, sensitivity to what God wants in our life fades. And many people unknowingly chase the wind here. See, they pray for results that God intends to produce through growth. They ask for promotion without preparation. They want impact without discipline. They want fruit without cultivation, but wisdom says, pause long enough to improve, to get better. Because sharpening feels slow, but dull effort costs far more over time. So what does rule number 9 look like in action? Well, I think first we can recognize one area where effort has replaced growth maybe. Where are you working harder instead of learning more effectively? Second, dedicate intentional time to sharpening your skills. Read, train, practice, seek coaching, ask for feedback. Growth rarely happens by chance. Third, welcome correction. Wise individuals seek feedback before failure forces it. You'll learn it one way or the other. Humility speeds up your development. Sharpening your skills, stewardship. God is honored when we develop what He has entrusted to us. A foolish person just keeps swinging a dull axe and blames circumstances. A wise person steps back, sharpens their axe, and returns with greater effectiveness. Because the goal isn't exhaustion. The goal is fruitfulness. And fruitfulness often comes from preparation that no one else sees. So don't just work harder, work wiser. Sharpen your thinking, sharpen your character, sharpen your craft, because skill guided by wisdom multiplies impact every time. That's rule number 9. Sharpen your skills. Stop chasing effort alone. Start catching what lasts.